Hello everybody and welcome to Absurd Hypotheticals, the show where we overthink dumb questions so you don't have to. I'm your host Marcus Lehner, and I'm joined here today by Chris Yee and Ben Storms. Say hi, guys.
Hey, I'm Chris.
Hey, I'm Ben.
So today I did some reading on the internet, specifically a random article about the history of frozen pizza.
Ooh, how'd you find your way to that article?
It was random. I checked the news on MSN, and it was like one of those like little sidebar things where it's like, oh, you might be interested in these article type things.
And you were.
And I clickbaited. I was clickbait.
Clickbait.
Clickbait, the newest Fitbit. So a couple takeaways that I got from this. First off, did you know it's patented? Frozen pizzas are patented? I didn't know you could patent food. But
I guess it's a process, sort of.
So basically what's patented is like a circle of dough with a slight indent in the middle, tomato sauce in there, and that's where the patent stops.
Okay.
So it mentions that you can put things on it like anchovies or, cheese. But it's not actually part of the original patent. And so the original patent is basically just a tomato sauce disc.
With a bread bowl, sort of.
Yeah, it's basically a bread bowl with tomato sauce in it.
It's like a tomato flatbread.
Yeah, tomato flatbread. And apparently the very first one they had made at the advent of, refrigeration was what brought it on. But the dough they use was not good. And basically, if you took it and you put it in your oven and you tried to make the pizza, it just never became a texture that was even like remotely edible. So eventually they got better at the freezing processes and finding the right doughs, and they started making different pizzas. Now, they're selling these things. Cheese still is not a main part of it. There actually was a whole big debate going on whether pizza had cheese on it or not.
I mean, not all pizzas have cheese on them.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. But, the vast majority, like when you think of a frozen pizza, it's got cheese on it.
I mean, not all pizzas have tomato sauce either.
That's also a good point.
Right. Yeah, tomato sauce I think is more up for debate than the cheese.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That's reasonable.
But then if there's no tomato sauce, you could call it cheesy bread.
Yeah, that's good. I love that. Sorry, I had it yesterday. I ordered it yesterday in addition to my pizza because I guess I like two of the same thing.
They're basically the same thing.
I like pizza and also less feature-rich pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take the base level pizza in addition to my full-on pizza. And so there actually became a point where it went up to the, what do they call the food governing body?
FDA?
The FDA?
Yes, the FDA. And the FDA in 1920-something released a rule that was, hey, if it is less than 12% cheese on top, it is not you can't classify it as a pizza.
What?
Really? They have a classification for that?
And they said back in like the fucking 20s that they got over 6,000 hate letters about this determination.
Also, wait, hold on. 12% is such an arbitrary number, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what is that? Like the middle bit? Like
right,
cheese circles on there?
Is that in like mass? 12% mass? Or 12% like surface area?
12% surface area. So I guess that's like a pasta could be 12% like cheese on top.
Right. A baked ziti is technically pizza.
So their compromise was not liked by, one, the people who wanted to call their non-cheese things pizza, and two, the dairy producers who were like, you're not putting enough cheese on these pizzas. So basically they tried to compromise and got it from both ends and then just retracted their determination, and now you can just call whatever the fuck you want a pizza.
So that doesn't exist anymore. That 12%.
No, that rule is gone.
Okay.
Remember when Pizza Hut tried to act like it invented calzones and called them pizzones? That was fun. I don't know why I just thought about that, but it made me angry at the time, and it still makes me angry.
Yeah, Pizza Hut tries all sorts of crazy things.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them work. Totino's Pizza Rolls, big success. Bagel Bites. Oh, Bagel Bites. I don't think I'd enjoy them now. I think they're actually just not made of food parts, mostly. But Totino's Pizza Rolls are the shit.
This is true.
You know what else you guys know what else would be the shit? What if everyone could fly? That would be the fucking shit.
That would be pretty awesome, I would have to say.
That's also our first question to clarify. Chris, run through some parameters.
It's not just a random thing you brought up.
Yeah.
Yes, that is our first question. And I want just some rules that we came up with to start out with. So we said that the speed you can go is like bike speed, so it's like around 10 miles per hour ish.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes like the same amount of effort it takes to bike somewhere.
I figure you can also
So-
probably. I'm assuming you can like fly faster if you like try harder. The way you can bike faster if you try harder.
Right, yeah. But
so-
like the average speed. Like,
Right, yeah.
That a normal person. Yeah. And then you can carry stuff with you if you're flying, but it's like just as hard to carry. Like, you don't have super strength. You can carry normal stuff with you, but you get tired if you carry like heavier stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some ground rules we started with. And the angle that I came on with this question was I wanted to look at how would the city be affected by this? Because I live in the city. I wanted to see like what would my life be like if everyone could fly. So the first thing that I thought of just for cities in general are skyscrapers, because they're all over the place in cities. And usually skyscrapers are like, in order to get to the top levels, you go inside on the first floor into the lobby, and there's an elevator that brings you up to whatever floor you want. But that's not really necessary anymore. Now you can just fly to the floor you want. So I don't think elevators would really be a thing. I mean, they might be a thing for like moving furniture and stuff, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say you probably have them for like.
Also, if you like break a leg or like an arm, can you still fly?
I don't know. I was thinking of that too. I never really decided.
It's magic.
Good question.
Because you don't use your legs to fly.
Do you have to flap your arms?
Like, if you break your arm, you can still walk. It's unrelated. So I think
Yeah.
if you break your leg, you can still fly. I don't know what you're using to fly.
I just spin my ding along a little, very very fast,
Okay, Marcus.
like a very sexy helicopter.
So instead of elevators, I think everyone, like the outside of all buildings would just, there be like front doors instead of windows. And you'd you'd still have windows, but there'd be a front door like on the side of the building. And everyone could just go to their apartment like that. And then to get to work, because a big part of city life is commuting to work, it's going to sort of change things. So I looked specifically at Boston, just like the commuting population in Boston. And there are, because we're in Boston, so it's relevant to us. So there are 318,000 workers in Boston that commute to work every day.
Ugh, no wonder it's so trafficy.
Yeah, I know. So, yeah, 46% of those people drive to work. And then the rest of them either bike, walk, take public transportation, or work from home. So the amount of people that bike, because we were talking about biking speeds, only 1.7% people bike, which is pretty low.
Yeah.
And then 15.1% walk. So I think the people that bike and the people that walk, if everyone can fly at biking speed, there's really no reason to bike or walk to work. You're just going to fly
Right.
to work.
Yeah, I mean, even driving is like, if you're not too far, it's just like,
Yeah, so public transportation, 33% take public transportation. And to Marcus's point, it would, like, depending on your, like, the distance from work, flying could actually be more efficient. So I did, like, sort of an analysis on just using Google Maps. So I did my commute specifically at first. So I live 1.1 miles away from work, and I actually walk to work every day. So my walk is 22 minutes. And if I take the subway, it'll be 16 minutes. So it's a little faster on the subway.
mm-hmm.
If I bike, it's 8 minutes. And if I fly at bike speeds,
Well, do tell.
yeah, if I fly at bike speeds, I can actually go in a straight line. I just go above all the buildings and go directly. That would only take me 4.8 minutes. So that's
pretty nice.
clearly the fastest.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a little further away, so I picked like a destination that was like 9 miles away. The subway would take 46 minutes. Biking would take 52 minutes. So the subway would be better than the bike at 9 miles. But But flying, since you can go in a straight line, is still faster than the subway. It's 43 minutes. So, which is like just on the threshold. It's like just better than the subway. So 9 miles is basically the threshold of public transportation's efficiency.
Yeah. And you gotta worry about, like, it's the same thing with the bike problem, is that you can only use it on some days, because if it's like
the
freezing
weather,
out or raining,
it depends on the weather.
You
definitely.
don't want to fly.
Yeah.
And I think you're gonna be a little sweaty, because if you bike for 45 minutes, you're like, ugh.
Yeah. And I figure not everyone is going to want to switch to flying just because convenience and like they don't want to put in the effort. Some of them will still take public transportation. So I wanted to figure out like exactly how many people would stay on public transportation. So I looked at the MBTA, that's the subway system in Boston, and they did a survey on satisfaction, and the average rating of satisfaction was 4.5 out of 7, which is like 64%. So the way I interpreted that, or the way I chose to interpret it, was that the other 36% are dissatisfied with the MBTA subway, and they would switch over to flying, and the rest of them would stay on the subway.
Right.
So that gives us a total number. So with the people that are switching from public transportation, the people that are walking, and the people that are biking, all those people make up all the flyers, and that equals 28.8% of the people in Boston that are flying.
That's going to be cool to see from like an airplane, like 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock whenever you leave for your work, and like just the people rise. Yeah.
Yeah. It's roughly 91,000 people. So it's a lot of people. And I don't know exactly how like the traffic would work, what the traffic situation would be. You'd need some sort of system, and I don't know what that system would be, but maybe you have like different planes, because like if you're driving on the road, then you can't go off of the road. You have to stay on the road. So maybe we'll have like different levels that you have to stay on. You can't like go out of the plane of flight.
Well, knowing Boston, they'll find a way to still make your commute suck.
Yeah.
Right.
Even if you can fly yourself.
Yeah. Otherwise, it'll just be chaos. I don't know. If everyone's going in every direction, that's not going to work.
It'll probably be chaos anyway, but it'll be great because we'll all be flying, so we won't care.
Yeah, exactly. That's about as far as I went with my analysis. There would be a lot of people there flying, is my conclusion.
I could definitely fly from work. I'm like 2 miles from work, but it's like all standstill traffic. My my bike time is the same as my drive time to work, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah. So, Ben, what do you have?
So I thought about, I was thinking about different things this would affect. And one of the things that I started thinking about was, what do you do when you have like big events? So like the thing I was thinking of were like outdoor concerts or like sporting events or stuff like that. So you obviously have a couple of issues in these situations. So like with an outdoor event, you're going to have people who just want to like fly up and watch it for free. If it's like a sporting event, that's totally going to happen.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That happens with like Fenway, because there are skyscrapers around Fenway.
Exactly. So you just know that like over Fenway, it's just going to be packed with people, which is both dangerous and also probably not something that, the people who own Fenway really want. So they're not going to like that. And then on the sort of sports side of things, one problem you're going to have, streakers are going to be much more difficult to deal with if they can also fly.
If they have a third dimension.
Right, exactly. It's already harder to track them down when it's just like, some jackass running around in 2 dimensions. So you can also just take off. You kind of got a problem. So
look at this jackass running around in 2 dimensions.
So
what about like a big net gun?
Oh, we're gonna get there, my friend. We're gonna get there.
Oh, thank you.
I assume he has a solution.
You're getting ahead of me on this one. Also,
I assume this was an aside.
even. Oh no. This is exactly where we're going. Even at indoor events, you're still gonna have some issues with like like if you're, at a concert in, inside somewhere, you're gonna have some problems where like, one, just in general, like you already have, security concerns, so if you can fly, once again, you sort of have that same third dimension problem. And then on top of that, just think about like if you're at a concert and all the like, jostling and like moving around, try to get a good view. What if people could just like fly up a little bit and block your view entirely? Then you have to fly up a little bit, and then suddenly everyone is just like this fucking three-dimensional mosh
into
pit.
The sky.
Yeah. So we need a way to sort of enforce, some, I'm going to make a terrible pun, ground rules for all of this. So for outdoor events, there are some like pretty big picture things you can do. You can just like put a giant, net enclosure over the entire stadium, but that's going to sort of destroy the ambiance. It's not really, I mean, places might do that, but I feel like it's going to be hard to maintain, and it's just not going to work very well in the long run. So I decided to look into a little bit more targeted ways to stop this problem. And what I looked at first was how people stop drones. Because this is kind of a problem you've already hit with drones where, they don't want them flying over sporting events and stuff because it's a danger. So how do people stop drones? Well, a couple fun ways. One that doesn't really work for people but is amazing is eagles. So apparently,
Yes.
And somehow we did not find this when we did our fucking Training Eagles episode. None of us like saw this, but eagles were trained by both the Dutch police and the French Air Force to like hunt down and pull down to the ground drones. It was kind of insane. Apparently, like when the French Air Force was training them, they would like put them on drones like when they were still in the egg, and then keep them on drones like when they were doing their initial feeding and everything to like acclimate them to them.
That's
What?
interesting.
And apparently, so the Dutch police drone hunting eagles and all like their training and stuff were about 80% effective. Unfortunately, it turns out apparently the Dutch police, I'm not sure about the French Air Force, they may still be using them, but the Dutch police at least have retired their Eagle Force, mostly for costs, because they didn't need them all that often, and it's actually pretty expensive just to keep around like a bunch of eagles.
Just like, yeah, it's gotta be tough to justify, like, when, like, the efficiency inspector comes over to your office and, like, it's like, what was that squeak? Like, that freaking eagle cry in the back. It's like, yeah, that's our eagles. Like, your eagles?
Your eagles.
And then there's, like, a huge
Our
room
eagle
where there's, like,
Right.
yeah, our eagle department that is us taking care of, like, 5 eagles.
Yeah, and how frequently do you use these eagles? Oh, once every 3 or 4 months, So, kind of a tough
Oh,
sell.
but how great is that when the drone alarm goes off and the big red light turns on and you hit the big button and all the cages fly open and all the eagles soar out. And 80% of the time you got that drone.
I mean, Marcus got pretty close with his answer for that
That's
Eagle episode.
We did come pretty close. So on to actually one other idea that's not particularly person worthy, but was also pretty awesome. They're a company that makes they call them the Skynet shotgun shells, which are just 12 gauge shotgun shells. They should be fired from any 12 gauge shotgun that just deploy a net to tangle up the props on the drone so it falls to the ground.
Wow, what a great idea, Ben.
Yeah, so there's
Use
that.
that for people.
So we're not going to do that. Seems bad.
Oh.
Also, the nets aren't big enough, so we're going to get bigger nets. So there are, as Marcus pointed out, net guns. Generally, they look like flashlights, basically, and they fire out like a weighted net that'll sort of entangle the target. They usually shoot like 20 to 45 feet, so you got some distance there. They're handheld, so you can totally fly with one. You could have like your security guards flying up with the net guns. They would look ridiculous. It'd be great. And sort of importantly also, some of them, they remain tethered to the gun, so you can like pull them in once you get them, which is important because they're not going to just, once again, I don't think just getting like tangled up in a net will stop them from flying. So
It's
we
like
got
a
to
net
kind of
lasso.
pretty much, yeah. Also, amazingly, oh my god. So mostly these are used for like catching animals. They'll use them when they're like like trying to like live catch like an elk or something, they'll like shoot at it and it gets tangled up and falls over and they can do whatever they need to do. Or like catch birds, shit like that. But also there are some companies that do sell them for like intruder use. And oh my God, on YouTube, the videos they use for advertising are the funniest things you have ever seen.
Oh,
because the way
send these links to me.
I will send you links. What always happens is I will also, for listeners, I'm going to put a link to one when this episode goes up. I'll put a link up to one of them on the Facebook page if you want to check it out there. Also like us on Facebook. But get that in there.
Also subscribe to our podcast. 5-star reviews.
5 stars.
Every video is like someone sort of slowly move towards someone, gets a net shot on them, and then just kind of like falls over for no real reason. It's so good.
Fall over, make it look real.
They're amazing. So there's also, once again, this probably doesn't really work for people, but there's the Sparrowhawk anti-drone drone/net system, which is a bigger drone that has a net dropped from the bottom of it that it just flies into the drone and catches it, which is pretty awesome, but also like $11,000 and would not work on a person. But I wanted to bring that up because it was kind of cool. And then finally,
so are there just like a series of increasingly larger drones that prey on smaller drones?
Oh, definitely, yes, yeah. This
We've
is
just
how,
made a food chain of drones.
This is how we get that giant like flying robot in Terminator. It's just like the chain going up. And then finally, my final bit of anti-drone technology, which is incredible, is the Skywall 100, which is a goddamn net bazooka. It's a shoulder-mounted net cannon that fires 100 meters and has this line is directly from like the advertising company or copy of the company, has a smart scope with predictive algorithms to help you get the target.
How?
Which is I'm assuming
scope, like
it like tracks how fast they're moving and like adjust where it's shooting to get them. I don't know, man.
I mean, it could also literally just be a crosshairs that they're saying is a tracking system.
They distinctly mention predictive algorithms, so it definitely does something to actually like either tell you where to shoot or aim it for you. I'm not sure exactly. They weren't particularly clear. But also I thought about just using like a taser, but that's like a very big liability concern, so let's just write that one off right now. So we're gonna go with the net cannon. And I think that's going to be your best option. I think that's sort of what's going to wind up happening is you're just going to have like you're going to have your regular like ground security, this regular, your regular guys. They're going to have like a force of, air security that just has like these kinds of things. And they're just like, when there's someone, everyone knows that if you go into the airspace, they'll be like patrolling up there and they're just going to take you down. And then you're done. So
is there like a certain limit that you can't, like a threshold that you can't pass?
I have a feeling what's going to happen is that, you're going to have like around like a baseball stadium, they're going to have like a series of like a ring of poles around it. If you go inside those, you're just like fair game or something. And maybe they'll sell tickets for, flying room only tickets at some point or something. Who knows? But
and maybe they'll have like events where it's like, hey, you just try to fly across the stadium and we're going to have all our security guards trying to shoot everybody down. Because that could be a fun day out.
Yeah, that'd be fun to watch.
And then what's eventually going to happen is going to be some terrible fireworks show and someone's going to get like hit by a firework, and then there's going to be all sorts of like regulations and shit and everyone will lose all their fun. But until then, that was kind of my idea. Anyway, Marcus, what'd you do?
So when we talked about the stipulations of flying, we set it at bicycle speed 10 miles an hour. And that's fine. But even given that stipulation, my thought is, why stop there? So even though we're already flying, I think this is actually the time to start using jetpacks. Because the problem with jetpacks is they do all their work to keep you airborne. But now they don't have to do that. So now they're literally just like a speed engine. Like it's just all horizontal, no vertical. So my question was, if we're all flying around, like flying to work, flying to, go visit people, and it's pretty good just to be on your own mobile, but can you do a transatlantic flight by yourself, is my question. So, first off, the jetpack you're imagining in your head, while very cool, is not great.
You don't know that.
So, yeah,
Like
so you're maybe
Jango
yours
Fett
then.
style.
But yeah, like the typical like Jango Fett style shoots out like, fire or whatever at the back is not great because most of them actually work on this hydrogen peroxide, which what makes it work so well is that it expands, like it reacts with the chemical and expands very quickly and creates that pressure and pushes you up. But you can't actually make this reaction last very long. They're limited to like a minute or two before like any size that you could reasonably, realistically put on your back would be just donezo and you're screwed.
Well, you're not screwed. You just go normal speed again.
Well, except that you're also carrying like a large tank on your back, which is going to slow you down.
Oh, yeah. So
yeah, at some point you're going to just lose all your gains.
Yeah. Also, 10 miles an hour is not going to get you to Europe, no matter what.
Right.
So the jetpack that I actually use for this is, you ever see those water jetpacks?
Yes, I have.
So the JetLev Flyer, which when it's not just in the promotional videos, is a little more disappointing than I like. So the way it basically works is you have this hose that, that comes down that basically just gets rigged up to a jet ski. Like, literally, if you buy it, like, in the disclaimer is like, hey, if you're going to buy this product, make sure you or someone you know is comfortable with modifying a jet ski. So, like, they don't make their own product. So basically the jet ski has like the engine stuff, and then the tube goes up, and the mechanics on the backpack are actually pretty light, for what you're doing. The reason this has an advantage is that it's, it's not using the water as its propellant, since it's pulling water from the water, you don't run out of water. And luckily, if you're doing a transatlantic flight, you're over water the whole time.
Kind of by definition, yeah.
Right. And so the typical ones they use now, like just for, dicking around on the lake, can last for 2 hours. You can go around on. So, if you would just modify that slightly, like you can do a full day of flying without too much modification. So then the next question is how fast can you go with your, jet ski jetpack contraption? The JetLev Flyer is able to produce 430 pounds of thrust, which is enough to carry, a 430-pound person. But if you turn that horizontally, it's actually pretty good. Because the first thing I did was check how much, by point of comparison, how much thrust are we generating to go 10 miles an hour horizontal? And it's actually only 2 pounds of thrust that you need to get to 10 miles an hour.
Well, then.
So you can't just multiply by a lot.
Right.
We do have to factor in wind resistance, so doing a free body diagram, picking up the drag coefficient of a person in the supine position, i.e. horizontal, and given your 430 pounds of thrust, you could achieve a maximum speed, the way I calculate it, of 115 miles an hour.
It's pretty fast.
It's not bad.
So yeah, it sounds pretty good.
I mean, compared to like a plane, though, I don't know.
Right. And so, if you're going across the ocean, on this probably a smaller trip, let's say Boston to England, that's 3,200 miles, which is going to be 28 hours of travel.
That's a long trip.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to do that just like, obviously, well, you can't do it in a day, obviously, because it's longer than a day. But also, it's like driving. Like, you're not putting the effort in because it's 99% of the jetpack, but you also need to, like, rest and take breaks. So there's two solutions where I don't think it falls apart completely. Because once there's actually a demand for a jetpack for real reasons, they're probably going to make better jetpacks. So I can imagine it getting there that way. But what I think would be cool is if you just set up, like, floating rest areas / fueling stations, like, just in the Atlantic every, few hundred miles. And so basically, like, it becomes like a trip. So you get up, you attach yourself to the jetpack, and you go and you fly for like 7 hours, and like you hit a landing platform, and it's like you can fuel up your little thing. It's probably got like a bar and like a little motel on it that you can sleep at.
It's like on the highway, they have rest stops.
Exactly, you have rest stops across the ocean. But they're probably gonna be pretty nice rest stops because land's gonna be cheap because it's no land. And I don't know what the gas prices would be in international waters, but less? So I think it could actually I think you could actually feasibly do the transatlantic flights, and while you do have to make it a 2 to 3 day trip, to get over there, I think it'd be worth it. Save on a plane ticket.
It'd be very, very windy.
Yeah, I mean, weather, like we said with yours, is also a concern. So
Well, I just mean like the speed that you're going.
Oh yeah. I mean, 115 is not that crazy on the body. Like, people on motorcycles go, 100 miles an hour, and you just need a helmet.
I guess that's true.
And then you're not even in the supine position, which is so much better for your aerodynamicity.
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 Welcome to our podcast, Hypothetical Words.
All right, it reduces your drag coefficient, motherfuckers. Yeah, and, when you get to your destination in Europe, you can go shopping, and you can enjoy any one of these wonderful products that we're going to advertise for you right now.
This week's ads are broken. Call a mechanic to fix up a groovy beat.
Alright, welcome back, everybody. We're going to dive right into the next question we have for you, which is, what if you could go back in time? Mwaha!
Mwaha!
Mwaha.
Why are we doing evil laughs?
I don't know. Marcus started it.
It's like an evil sciencey type thing, I guess.
Do you have evil intentions? Is that why?
No, I don't have evil intentions.
Yeah, I don't either.
So what we did with this question was kind of more, because there's a lot of ways you can go with time travel. We did a little bit more of the wish fulfillment aspect of time travel, where you get to pick where you go back. You can bring like some stuff with you, like you can have like, I don't know, what you could reasonably carry around, I guess. And I don't think any of you guys did, but I didn't worry about any like time impacts, like, stepping on the worm and, ending World War II or something.
Right. Well, we didn't really say that we go back in time and then we come back to the present. We just stay in the past, right?
Oh yeah, we just stay in the past. So it's full time. So I'm gonna go first because I went the furthest back in time. An entire 66 million years to the late Cretaceous period, because this is the time period with the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
That does not sound like a smart plan.
So, my wish, I took this full wish fulfillment because I want to train a Tyrannosaurus Rex as a pet and ride him around awesomely. So, what I'm going to bring is before I make my trip, I'm going to get a nice big old saddle. I guess probably a series of saddles or like an adjustable one. So, because they get pretty big, but they also, you want to get a young one. And really, the thing I was worried about was like, hey, if you're going to have a T-Rex as a pet, you have to make sure that you can train it to a certain degree. So, back my base knowledge of dinosaurs was like, they have brains the size of walnuts. So I was like looking at like how smart lizards were or birds or whatever. And then doing the research, T-Rexes are actually super smart. So they do the thing where they calculate the brain size compared to the body size as a measure of intelligence. And it comes out that they're actually probably were as smart as chimpanzees.
Oh.
So that's what I...
Very smart.
So that's what I use my baseline for what you can teach a T-Rex to do. It's a pretty good start, because obviously they can be taught to do simple tasks. My favorite simple task that they did was they taught a monkey how to pull a lever, when it saw a light. And then they sent him into space so he would do that. They could see if people could do like pull levers in space, I guess, if they were like impaired. But the monkey did a good job, and he came back with just a bruise on his nose, and then he went to live happily in some preserve somewhere.
How did he get the bruise on his nose?
I don't know. Maybe like in the landing.
Yeah, I would guess re-entry.
It was unclear. Yeah, but he did great. One of the surprisingly common things they train chimps to do in my research was how to collect their own urine samples for researchers.
Not for any
And for,
scientific
like,
purpose, just to
zoologists
mess
and
with them.
So, like, when you're taking care of them or, like, at the zoo to check up on them, like, you have to take it, and it's probably just a pain in the ass to, like, get a chimpanzee to pee in a cup.
Right.
So, they do they spend a bunch of effort training chimpanzees how to, collect their own urine samples and, like, give it to you.
Soon they're just going to be training them to do the whole test for them.
I mean, they said they got the chimps up to 100% success rate, and they would do it in less than 5 minutes. So it's better than I can do. Because, sometimes you get nervous. Like, you're in the doctor's office, and you're already kind of exposed. And, like, you got the breeze coming in behind the hospital gown. It's like, now you got to pee in a cup. And sometimes it's just shy bladder, and you're not getting in. 5 minutes is a short amount of time.
That's your own personal problem.
I also want to share, in my training chimpanzees research, this wonderful question on Quora, which starts with, is it true that Idi Amin trained chimpanzees to use machetes? And then just provided a link to an article I didn't even bother to read, which was fine. It's already a funny question. But I think the best is the only response to it, which I'm assuming is a bot-generated response, goes, no, it is not true. This is because it is false and does not have any credibility due to it be untrue. A more detailed explanation can be found here. No.com. In summary, the answer to your question is a resounding no, because it not correct, it is unfactual. According to Wikipedia, yes and no. And then it quotes from Wikipedia. Yes and no are one of the several pairs of words used to express the affirmative and the negative, respectively, in several modern languages, including English. English is originally used as a four-form system up to and including early Middle English, but modern English has reduced this to a two-form system consisting of just yes and no. Some languages now answered blah, 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 blah.
Wait, hold on, back up. There used to be two more options aside from yes and no? What? How?
So it's like it's like yes in response to like a certain type of question, or yes in response to like another, form of phrase.
Fair enough. Okay.
It like responded to a bunch of different other languages. It's kind of like how some languages have like gender with different words.
Fair enough.
You can have like slightly different yeses or nos. I did check that. but the end was not interesting.
I just looked up no.com. It does not exist.
What?
That's a shame.
Get that URL.
Yeah.
But I just love that the idea that there's this bot going around just answering questions with just no, like either yes or no, and then citing what yes and no mean to like meet, I guess, the minimum requirements of the website. So like I said, chimpanzees, you can kind of train. You could train them like definitely as well as like a dog or something with the basic tasks. But what I would love to do, and what they teach chimpanzees is Nim Chimpsky was raised almost as a human by his family, and he was raised to learn sign language, and he learned a whole bunch of sign language. So, unfortunately, T-Rexes are not very good candidates to learn sign language.
Nope.
They have tiny arms and only 3 fingers. So, while it would be hilarious, and you can maybe get away with like a limited form of sign language, because if you're only teaching them so many words, you could probably just make up your own sign language and then do like the Vulcan grip to teach it to the T-Rex. I think another problem you run into there is that your T-Rex wants to sign to you and tell you something. You're riding on top of your T-Rex's back. You can't see its arms. Its arms are so tiny, it's not going to work for you. So I was looking at other ways that, people communicate with animals or just non-verbally communicated, because T-Rexes do not have good vocal cords for speaking. So you could teach it, your verbal command, so you could speak to it. You're just not going to get any response from your T-Rex, which I think is kind of disappointing. And I couldn't find a great solution, but the best one I found was teaching it Yerkish, which is a language they will teach to non-human primates that is made up of lexicograms. Basically, it's a symbol language. So they'll use keyboards with over 300 symbols on them that the primates will learn how to use, and they'll be able to know, like, this one means apple, or this one means, like, eat, this one means this or that or this or that. You cannot bring a, 300 symbol thing for a T-Rex that they would be able to function with, because T-Rexes are 40 feet long, and I cannot carry a keyboard that big, much less, like, I guess 3 of them with 100 symbols each.
Right.
And so chimpanzees are smart enough to use basic tools. So the question is, could you teach a T-Rex to draw these symbols? So the way I imagine it working is like, you tell your T-Rex to go do something, and then it wants to respond, or, just wants to tell you something on its own, and it kind of like just grabs a big old branch and like draws a symbol on the floor and like turns so that you can see it.
That should work, I think.
Yeah, I think that should probably work. Assuming they can get to like remember the symbols, but that sounds doable.
Yeah, so like I was like the chimpanzees remember like 125 like different like sign language signs, and they didn't even do the experiment for its whole life. It was like 2 years, and then they abandoned it because weirdly they didn't get funding for their teach a monkey sign language experiment.
Right.
So I think that would just be fucking buck wild, just be like on my doodling dinosaur and roaming the late Cretaceous period and just chilling out,
just chatting with it.
Yeah, and it'd be pretty good because just a couple fun facts about T-Rexes. They live about 30 years, so it's actually worth investing in the baby T-Rex to, to raise it and get it going, and you'll have them as a companion for a while. You might have to go through 2 T-Rexes, which would be kind of sad, but I guess it depends when you make your trip. And, maybe your life expectancy isn't super high in that period anyway, so...
Right.
I mean, you'll have a T-Rex to defend you, though.
Yeah, you have a T-Rex to defend you, but I imagine the entire change in the climate that we're adapted to, going back to, like, the, 66 million years ago with, like, all the oxygen in the air and all the different diseases and plants going around, you're probably not going to last 30 years.
Yeah,
so,
the diseases
will probably outlive you.
The diseases seem like a problem.
No, wait, I take it back. You have to outlive the T-Rex, because if you die before the T-Rex does, and you're that tight as companions, I do not want to see a sad T-Rex like that.
That's tragic.
Yeah. That's very sad.
I forget, were there any T-Rexes in, like, the Flintstones? What role did they play?
I don't think there were.
There must have been one at some point.
Yeah, that's like the famous dinosaur.
The one that keeps popping into my head is Chomper, but that's from A Land Before Time, because he's the little T-Rex.
Yeah.
Maybe the Flintstones is period specific and actually did the research and only used the appropriate dinosaurs.
I highly doubt that.
So dino was a Snorkosaurus, which I don't think is a real dinosaur.
Yep,
Got
they
this
did their
funny
research.
feeling.
Totally did their research.
Yeah, that's probably the real dinosaur. Is that thing on Sesame Street? The brown one.
The brown one?
Brown dinosaur and
The Snuffleupagus guy.
What?
The Snuffleupagus?
What? Wait, what are you
I
talking
have
about?
no idea what you're talking about.
The brown woolly mammoth type thing on Sesame Street. What's it called? I can't Google it. I still don't have internet.
I don't. Wait, I don't.
I don't know
okay,
what you're talking about.
I legitimately don't know what you're talking about.
It's pals with Big Bird.
I guess I just don't know Sesame Street that
Yeah, maybe
well.
that's the case. I just don't know that much. But
Look up Big Bird's brown something.
okay,
Big
if you
birds.
just
I'm pretty sure it's
Mr.
a Snuffleupagus.
Snuffleupagus, yeah, Mr. Snuffleupagus.
Yes.
Oh.
There we go.
It looks like a mammoth.
Yeah, it's
I
totally.
I'm not pulling this out of my ass. This is a real thing that people know about.
The species is Snuffleupagus, unfortunately, not mammoth. I'm sorry to break the news, which I think is also still not a real creature.
All right, I'm gonna exit with one last cool fact about T-Rexes. The Tyrannosaurus Rex had vision 13 times better than that of a human, and could see fairly clearly up to 6 kilometers. People also think that the T-Rex may have had telescopic vision, where it can literally like zoom in on its own.
Whoa, that's a
That
cool
is-
feature.
Awesome.
I want that.
So
He's like a robot.
yeah, when they're like, "Don't move, it can't see you," and it's like, not only can it see you, it can fucking like zoom in on your fucking nose hairs if it wants to.
Are there any animals like now that can do that?
Maybe birds.
Yeah, maybe like birds of
I
prey.
didn't look up. I think you need really big eyes to do it, so you'd have
that would make
you'd have
sense.
to Google it.
Yeah.
But anyhow, moving on. We're gonna fast forward to the current, and then fast forward a little bit back in the past with Ben. Where'd you go?
I went to the Renaissance.
A fancy lad.
So the Renaissance was a time period. It was like the 14th to 17th century in Europe. Sort of just like a time of art and culture and science and shit like that. It was very fun. Specifically, I want to go back to the end of the 15th century / start of the 16th century, and specifically hang out with Leonardo da Vinci. So Leonardo da Vinci is kind of the Renaissance man, both in terms of like person you think of when it comes to the Renaissance and also like the idea of a Renaissance man. He did like everything. He was like an inventor, sculptor, painter, architect, scientist, musician, engineer. He like theorized like parachutes and helicopters and tanks and like apparently concentrated solar power at one point he thought up. One of his paintings, the Salvator Mundi, sold at auction for $450.3 million in 2017. That's the highest price ever paid for a work of art. He studied anatomy, geology, astronomy, botany, history, cartography, just like basically
Talk about
everything.
overachiever.
Yeah,
We
I feel like-
started a podcast.
right.
That's what
I
we
know
did.
that's cool too.
Hey, and Chris, we've done a YouTube channel, and you've written a book, and I designed a board game.
Yay.
Check them all out at nerdchomp.com.
So obviously he sounds like a very interesting guy, but you might think that maybe he's a little bit, dry, with all that shit going on. But apparently Leonardo da Vinci actually had a very good sense of humor. So this next part, I found this on exactly one website that seems slightly sketchy, but apparently this is a joke that he wrote in one of his notebooks. And it's not great, but I'm going to read it verbatim. It was asked of a painter why, since he made such beautiful figures, which are but dead things, his children were so ugly, to which the painter replied that he made his pictures by day and his children by night. So it's not great. But it's not bad, actually, if you consider it's from
It's not a bad joke.
it's like 5 centuries old. That's actually pretty good.
That was a legitimate chuckle.
Yeah. And just to prove that he could totally fit in on Twitter, apparently in the Codex Arundel, I don't know, which is a collection of his notes that was like bound. There's a section, a very famous section, where he just compiled a list of synonyms and puns to describe a penis. just apparently that was, he was bored and just like wrote down a bunch of puns and synonyms for penis. I don't know. And also apparently he liked playing pranks on his friends. So like there was one time where he had been invited to Rome by the Vatican to celebrate like a new pope. And while he was there talking to people from the Vatican, he told them that he had a pet dragon he kept in a box. And they'd think he was joking, but actually he had taken a lizard and he'd put fake wings, horns, and a beard on it, and they'd open the box and show them, they'd all freak out. And he thought it was great.
What?
I would believe him.
And then also, he apparently...
you say he pulled a prank. I say Leonardo da Vinci invented a dragon.
That's also true. He also... he would make like makeshift balloons from cow intestines. And then he'd use like blacksmith's bellows to inflate them until they're really big. And he would do this thing where he would basically bring people into a room and tell them he was going to show them an experiment. And then he would just inflate the balloon and block the door so they couldn't get out.
What the fuck?
This guy sounds fun.
And also, I would like to point out that yes, that joke I only found one place. All those other three things, the penis paragraphs and Vatican dragon and balloon trap, those were all cited in multiple places, so I feel pretty confident about them.
I think I've developed a theory.
Go on.
Leonardo da Vinci is not one man. Leonardo da Vinci is the name of, like, a fucking college, because this is some college-ass shit going on. Like, yeah, there's some moments of great achievement, but also they're trapping someone in a room with a bladder and fooling the Pope.
Right. Seems pretty great. And sort of, long story short... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right, well, I was going to say that long story short, I feel like, for some of the things I've seen, it seems like Leonardo da Vinci would really have enjoyed watching Jackass if he had the opportunity.
Yes, he does sound like it.
So sort of my idea, aside from just going and hanging out with Da Vinci, because it sounds like just the greatest time in the world, I think that you could get Leonardo da Vinci to prank the world with you. So my original idea was to do something with the Da Vinci Code, but after like going back and actually looking at the plot of the Da Vinci Code, I don't think there's actually a whole lot there. Heyo, burn on Da Vinci Code. But no, really, like I just don't think that like going through making the plot of the Da Vinci Code real is actually all that exciting.
I don't really remember the plot to it that much.
I don't know. There's stuff. There's like an albino monk who kills a dude, and Da Vinci isn't actually involved all that. I mean, he's involved, but I don't know. It just wasn't all that fun. I thought it was gonna be more fun. I don't know. Anyway, what I decided is much more fun. The idea that I had after that is basically set it up so that when we get to the present day, people think that actually Da Vinci traveled through time. And that explains how he did all the shit he did. So I think you basically take him back like photos of landmarks and like events he can reference that won't make any sense until like the 20th century. They can like sneak in places, like, casually. Just like, draw a little like Eiffel Tower somewhere and like mention like George Washington or Abraham Lincoln or something, shit like that. And just like build this like conspiracy theorist dream web of just like all these little things that you can use to prove that Da Vinci actually traveled through time.
So he'd be like Nostradamus.
Pretty much, yeah. But maybe better because he actually... He didn't just like make 18 million predictions and actually like 40 of them came true. That's the cheap way.
I guess if you make it to like 4 predictions. Yeah, if you just make like 5 predictions and they're all just like nails on, it's like, oh wait, I guess he just did it a couple times.
Right. Well, yeah, and here's the thing is that like it's one of those things where this is such a great idea because it takes so little jump to get to this point. The dude already has diagrams for a mostly working fucking helicopter in his notes. Like, it doesn't take that much more to push him over the edge to this dude travel through time.
Yeah, I will say that mostly working is an unfortunate adjective for helicopter.
Okay, well,
specifically.
Yes. Okay, so here's another thing he did. At one point, so, he'd say anatomy and stuff. There was a point where he basically used a suit of armor with like a pulley system rigged up that he basically made. He called it a robot that he could like have it like lift its visor and like wave and shit.
Yeah,
He
big
did
puppet.
that. That wasn't just a design. He actually made that happen. Da Vinci was pretty fucking insane.
I'm actually just like saying negative things about Da Vinci so you get super defensive and start, singing his laurels again.
Hey, Da Vinci's a cool dude. I want to be my friend.
Do you think Da Vinci would even hang out with you, Ben?
Well,
Do you think you're good enough to hang out with Da Vinci?
So I don't speak Italian, which is kind of a barrier.
Yeah,
but I could figure I could learn that at some point. I would learn Italian first.
Do you think you get even fucking close to Da Vinci, Ben? Do you think you could do it? Coming from nowhere,
all you have
showing
to do
up
is
at his
bring
door.
a working helicopter and he'll be impressed.
Right, exactly. You just bring one cool piece of not like advanced technology, but just like a rubber band gun or something, and he will just fucking love that. And you're in.
Yeah, like the little thing with the balls that clicks back and forth.
Oh, yes.
You get it.
You could go, yeah, perfect, exactly. Shit like that. He would go nuts for that. And suddenly you're your best friend. I'm telling you, it's a foolproof plan.
You don't even need to know Italian.
Exactly. Well, it will probably help a little bit, but
just put it on your phone. Put it on your phone, a translating program, and then be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then your phone says it in Italian, and then Da Vinci's mind is blown. It's like, also, could you invent me a charger really quickly?
Right, seriously, yeah, I need you to get on this one, dude. You really got to come through for me here. No, stop inflating stop inflating the intestine. You did that trick already. It's great. It's very funny. Da Vinci, please let me out of the room. I can't get past this intestine.
Hold on, I'm almost done. Here's your charger. It's like, Da Vinci, this is a micro USB.
I need USB-C, damn it. He just pulls one out. He actually was a time traveler the whole time. Plot twist. In my Shyamalan.
It's like, yeah, I came back 20 years ago to meet Da Vinci and then realized I was Da Vinci.
My God.
That's totally Twilight Zone.
That's actually that is the greatest Twilight Zone episode that it was never made. Okay. Anyway, that's kind of my plan.
My plan, Da Vinci's cool.
My plan is Da Vinci's cool, and I guess prank the world. Honestly, at a certain point, I sort of stopped getting too wrapped up in the prank part because I just kept learning cool things about Da Vinci. So, I don't know. He'll have better ideas than me. He clearly has many better ideas than I do already, so.
It's alright. I did the same thing with... I did the same thing with T-Rexes and chimpanzees where I was like, I don't even care about what I'm going to do anymore.
Right? Anyway, Chris, what'd you do?
So I went to 1895, which is like the dawn of film. So there were movies before that. There were like kinetoscopes, which was invented by Thomas Edison, but those weren't like projectors. Those were like things that you like put your eyes into and you can like see it in a box.
Right.
And it wasn't until the invention of the cinematograph that they could actually like project movies onto a screen. And the cinematograph was invented by Leon Bouley, but it was eventually sold to the Lumiere brothers. And the Lumiere brothers are famous for showing. So they had like public showings of movies, and like one of the famous ones was, you probably heard of it, the train coming towards the screen, and like the audience freaked out because they thought there was a train actually coming at them.
Yeah, that's like weird. Like I learned about that in school too, was that people just didn't understand how movies worked.
Yeah, they thought it was like real. So I wanted to like play off of that situation and try to like see what I could show them that could like make a bigger impact.
Alien.
So the first thing I would well, the first thing I would do when I get there is I would take the Lumiere brothers' place, and I don't know what I'd do with them. I'd probably like send them somewhere. I don't know.
Chris just tries to say hard. Chris doesn't want to start his wish fulfillment time travel with murder.
Right. I would send them to a
know.
farm upstate.
I would supplant their place in the history.
I'll pay them a lot of money to go somewhere else. And I would take their place showing movies to the public. And the train movie thing actually wasn't their first public showing. That was like a year after their first public showing. Their first public showing was in 1985, which is where I went. And they showed 10 different movies, but I wouldn't show any of those. And instead, I would choose... So I thought hard about like what movie I would show them. It was a very difficult choice, but eventually I landed on Michael Bay's masterpiece, Transformers.
Tell me how this came. Tell me about your process, Chris. Tell me what got you from all the movies ever, and then head to head, 38 round elimination tournament, and at the top of the line, right there, Transformers.
Yeah, let's go with the question that's always on people's minds. Why did you choose Transformers?
I just want to show them an awesome, dumb movie with robots fighting each other. I mean, I don't even know if they know what robots are.
Probably not.
I don't know.
Da Vinci would.
Yeah, he would. So the thing is, they would probably think that Transformers is real, because they wouldn't understand what CGI is. They wouldn't understand, if they thought the train was actually coming at them, they'll think the robots are real.
Mm-hmm.
So they're probably going to think that this is just a prophecy of the future, that robots are going to take over the world.
Reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one of the unintended outcomes, because I just wanted to show them a cool movie, I didn't really think of the outcomes, how it would affect the future. But eventually, people would fear cars and stuff. So in 1985, cars were a thing, but they weren't really popularized yet. So there were a few early versions of cars, but the first production gasoline car was in 1985 by Carl Benz, and then in 1913 was the Ford Model T, and that's when it was mass produced. That was the first mass produced car. So cars aren't really mass produced yet, but they are a known thing. And I think Transformers would kind of just instill fear into that type of technology. People wouldn't want to develop cars anymore. They wouldn't want to research them at all. So all advancements in car technology would just stop.
So you've managed to go back in time and uninvent the car.
Yeah.
That's a new one.
But eventually, because the plot of Transformers isn't actually that all cars are bad, or even alive. If you look at the plot, the thing that makes cars alive is called the Allspark, and I guess it crashed onto Earth or something, and Megatron came and tried to find it, and he ended up getting frozen in the Arctic Circle trying to find the Allspark. And in the movie, they actually said that some guy named Archibald Amundsen Witwicky, he was an explorer, he found Megatron in the Arctic Circle in 1897.
Do you want to
talk
about that name a little bit, Marcus? Yeah.
That's the name they gave him, Archibald Amundsen Witwicky.
Archibald Winwicky, the explorer of the Arctic.
Yeah, so in the movie, he found Megatron in the Arctic Circle in 1897, which is 2 years from where I am in history right now.
Who was it who found it? Tell me one more time.
Archibald Amundsen Witwicky. So they're going to think that, this guy is going to find him in 2 years. And they're going to want to try to find the Allspark because they don't want this thing to fall into the wrong hands. They think that evil robots are going to find it and try to take over the world. So they're going to try to find, a real Archibald Witwicky in real life. Obviously, they're not going to find anyone because he's a fictional character. But they eventually will find the person that the character is based on, Roald Amundsen. His last name is the guy's middle name in the movie. So I think eventually they'll make a connection somehow. I don't know. And he is a Norwegian explorer, and he was actually the first one to traverse the Northwest Passage into the Arctic, and he was the first one to reach the North Pole. And he reached the North Pole in 1926. So they're going to find him, and they're going to try to get him to go to the Arctic. And this is 30 years before he actually reached the North Pole. So it's going to sort of expedite the process. And I don't think they're actually going to make it because he's inexperienced at this point. He's only 23 in 1895. So I think that'll be a failed attempt. But eventually, I do think they will find someone that can get them there.
And they will fund the Allspark. And they will create Transformers. And Optimus Prime shall roll down the streets of New York City.
And we'll just go, damn it, Chris.
I know. I will have ruined... I will have started the Transformers reality.
So maybe actually made history much better. Yeah.
You can read all about it in Wilt Wiki's book, the Wilt Wikipedia.
Yeah, so they're not going to find it there. They're going to probably waste a bunch of resources searching the Arctic Circle. The Arctic Circle actually makes up 4% of the Earth's surface, so it's a big area. And I think just eventually, like they've halted the production of cars, and they're waiting to find the Allspark, and they're never going to find the Allspark. So I think I just ruined technology.
I guess so.
I unintentionally ruined technology. My bad. But they got to
Thanks,
see
Archibald.
They got to see an awesome robot movie.
Yet another reason why the Michael Bay Transformers movie should never have been made.
Yeah.
A warning to future generations.
So that's my thing. That's what I did.
I see. Well, next week you can do another thing because we're going to do some more questions. And those questions are, how would you make baseball more interesting? And what if roller skates were permanently attached to your feet? If you have any questions, comments, or your own hypothetical idea you want us to answer, let us know. You can reach us by email at absurdhypotheticals@gmail.com, send us a tweet at absurdhype, that's HYPE hype, visit our website, www.nerdchomp.com/absurdhypotheticals, and if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. It really helps out the show and lets us keep making it for you.